Tylenol possibly tied to autism. That's what the Trump administration announced today.
Don't take Tylenol.
Why experts say it's more complicated than that.
It's the first day of fall, but summer isn't going anywhere just yet. How hot the temperatures will get and when rain returns.
Six-digit surprise. U.S. companies could soon be paying tens of thousands of dollars for each international employee on their payrolls. How that move could affect the talent pipeline here in the Triangle.
Tonight, the president is tying increased autism rates to vaccines and Tylenol. He says the FDA will start notifying doctors so they can tell their patients. Thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. This obviously got a lot of people's attention today. This announcement coming this afternoon. The president saying that acetaminophen, which is the active ingredient in Tylenol, can be associated with an increased risk in autism. But the administration didn't immediately offer any evidence for this claim. WRAL's Carly Haynes is covering the story for us tonight. Carly, you got a response from a handful of the hospital systems and doctors in our area.
Dan, researchers at hospitals in our area like UNC Health or Wake Med really are encouraging pregnant women to consult with their doctors or primary physicians, since taking Tylenol while pregnant is still widely considered to be a safe option for a lot of people. In today's announcement, the Trump administration encouraged pregnant women to avoid Tylenol altogether, tying it to increased risk of their child developing autism. It comes as head of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., pledged to find the cause of autism by September. A UNC psychiatrist told us, despite today's announcement, there's yet to be a definitive link within the medical research community. There are some studies that suggest a very small increase in rates of autism, but the largest study to date, backed by the NIH, found no correlation.
What we know is that autism is a very complex neurodevelopmental disorder, and that across time it's been clear that there will not be a single cause of autism, that autism is likely caused by a combination of genetic and environmental factors.
Tylenol's website currently states there is no credible science showing Tylenol is linked to autism. So the overall takeaway from experts is that if anybody has questions or concerns, they should just go to their doctor.
Carly, you know, again, it's these types of announcements and the contradictions between different agencies and bodies and professionals that create a lot of confusion with people. We do know, though, that autism rates have increased. We know this. So if not Tylenol, when you're talking to the experts in the hospitals today, what are the medical professionals thinking is happening here?
Dan, there is no doubt that autism rates are increasing. Doctors have echoed that statistic that 1 in 31 people now have autism. But they attribute a part of that to how we define autism, which has recently become much more broad. So it used to be that it was really those forward-facing behaviors. Maybe doctors would notice a person with severe learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, socially maybe they were a little bit more inhibited. Now we're seeing some behaviors that might not be just so easily recognized being considered on the autism spectrum.
All right. Carly Haynes reporting for us tonight. Thank you, Carly.
Well, the fall season is officially here. It kicks off with highs in the 80s, maybe even 90s by Wednesday. Importantly, though, Kat, rain could be coming on the way this week.
And that's the good news we get out of all of this. You get the hot, humid weather out ahead of our next cold front that brings some rain. In the meantime, it's really just going to be hot tomorrow and Wednesday, upper 80s to lower 90s, only a 20% chance for rain those days. But by Thursday, that chance goes up to 30%. Now, that still doesn't sound very impressive. It's really later in the week, Friday into the weekend, that we finally start to see some decent rain chances, going up to a 60% chance by Friday. It's all thanks to this dip in the jet stream. First, that's going to push in a lot of moisture from the Gulf, and then we're going to see a cold front come through, and that's going to help to bring more showers and storms to the area. We're also watching the tropics, 2 new areas that we are monitoring for potential development, one of which could have an impact. I'll have a closer look at that coming up.
Okay, Kat, let's get you caught up on some of today's other big headlines. Here are 5 things you should know right now. The law named after the woman stabbed to death on a Charlotte train delayed in the state Senate. The bill would provide more money for prosecutors in Charlotte and eliminate cashless bail. Lawmakers have brought up adding more ideas to the bill, including mental health training and barring political campaigns from using victims' names in ads. We'll let you know when the bill advances. Vice President J.D. Vance is coming to North Carolina to discuss public safety after that stabbing death in Charlotte we just talked about. He'll be in Concord, just outside of Charlotte, on Wednesday. This will be his first official trip to our state since becoming VP. The family of a North Carolina meteorologist who died in a helicopter crash reached a settlement in the wrongful death case. Jason Meyer's family will receive $50 million. He and his pilot died in 2022 when their helicopter crashed along I-77 in Charlotte. The NTSB found the crash was likely caused by inadequate inspections.
Rescue crews pulling a body from a Wake County pond this afternoon. Sky 5 here over the scene off Hodge Road. This is near Wendell. Deputies were called to that area to check on a man who lives nearby. After a 2-hour search, they found the man's body in the pond. Investigators have not released his identity. The Rocky Mount Police Department identifying the person killed in a shooting yesterday morning. Police saying 24-year-old Kendar Darden was killed on Benvenue Road at 6 a.m. 4 other people were hurt. One of those people is still in the hospital in fair condition. The other victims were released. No arrests have been announced at this time. It has been a little while since we did a deep dive on one of President Trump's executive orders. He's up to about 200 or more at this point, and his latest order tackles immigration.
Order up.
Okay. All right. Well, technically, it's a proclamation, not an order, but the Trump administration plans to carry out the directive. And it reads in part, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall restrict decisions on petitions not accompanied by a $100,000 payment for H-1B specialty occupation workers. So, in other words, companies that bring in a worker into the United States using that H-1B work visa must pay a $100,000 fee to do so. The fee used to be up to $5,000. So this is quite a price hike. And it's worth noting this would not apply to anyone who already has one of these visas, meaning this only impacts new visa applications. The president says the goal is to prioritize American workers. WRAL Sean Gallagher found out how this could play out, though, in the Triangle.
Good afternoon.
Going to Durham Tech opened the world to Damon Sanders.
I didn't know anything about life sciences.
An industry he's now fully invested in thanks to a flyer his mom found.
Yes, thanks to my mom. Shout out to my mom.
While mom knows best, Durham Tech knows it has a large responsibility to keep people like Damon coming through these doors.
We're really finally making the deep commitment to building a talent pipeline.
Durham Tech is building a new training facility here behind me to try to help fill that pipeline. It's a project bolstered by a $6 million donation by Novo Nordisk. It's really an easy investment when you consider the H-1B changes being implemented under President Trump. Novo Nordisk would have had to pay nearly $4 million this year alone for its new employees working on an H-1B under the new rules. Novo Nordisk Director of Public Affairs Shayla Nunn-Jones points to the company's efforts to hire local.
This Life Science Center is going to ensure that the people who live right next door can go to work on the other side of the street.
This will be one of 3 education and training center groundbreakings for Durham Tech in the next few months. It's a pressure they've been prepared to handle well before Trump made this decision.
You know, we felt that pressure for about 5 years because you've just seen job announcement after job announcement in the life sciences, especially in biomanufacturing.
And why the school feels it's ready to keep up with the demand for Damons in drug manufacturing.
It's been completely life-changing. Before I was struggling to save money, and now I'm able to look forward and invest into my future.
Durham Tech President J.B. Buxton tells me he expects thousands of students to go through this building every single year as they continue to try to keep up with the demands of the biotech industry. This building will open up in 2027. In Durham, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
All right, thank you, Sean. It was a busy day at the state capitol today.
It sure was. Lawmakers moved forward with a bill that would strip state funding from Planned Parenthood. Now, you should know the state already doesn't fund the nonprofit's abortion services, so this bill would cut funding for everything else they do. We're going to talk about the details after the break.
And stick around for tonight's one last thing as we honor the life of Sean Clark, the former head coach at App State. But first, let's give you a look ahead at some of the news stories we're keeping an eye on this week. Tomorrow, Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air. He has not spoken publicly since his show was suspended last Wednesday.
Fujifilm will open its new facility in Holly Springs on Wednesday. There will be a grand opening event celebrating the $2 billion investment. And this week, we hit the 1-year mark since Helene hit western North Carolina. WRAL's newest documentary on the subject airs Thursday night. You can watch Helene, What We Lost, What We Found, Thursday at 7:30 right here on WRAL. We'll be right back.
Today, the North Carolina Senate passed a bill that would end Planned Parenthood's status as a Medicaid provider in the state. North Carolinians on Medicaid have been able to go to Planned Parenthood clinics for cancer screenings, infection testing, and more. We should note that the state already does not pay for abortion services. Republicans, though, want to end Planned Parenthood's Medicaid contract anyway because they just don't trust the organization. Planned Parenthood pushed back on that today.
The reason that I don't think that Planned Parenthood should be providing these services is because I think that they indoctrinate.
Cancers will go undetected, STIs will go untreated, and people will not be able to get the birth control they need to plan their families and their futures.
So this is all part of a much larger conversation around the future of Medicaid in North Carolina. Ashley is here with WRAL State Government reporter Paul Spey in the studio tonight for that part of the story.
Yeah, we got to get the NCCAP team in here. They're the experts on this. The vote, Paul, was on party lines. Democrats against it, Republicans for it. Republicans have controlled North Carolina's laws for 15 years. Why is this bill coming out now?
Right. I wondered the same thing. Why haven't they addressed this until now? But the answer lies in the federal government. Recently, the Trump administration and Congress passed a bill, you may remember it, the One Big Beautiful bill, that would do a number of things, but one of them would be to block Planned Parenthood from funding Medicaid funding at the federal level. Mm-hmm. Now, Planned Parenthood is fighting that in court, but a judge recently ruled that the Trump administration can move forward in that case. Well, that frees up states like North Carolina to move forward and do the same thing here.
I see. So really, it was the federal government that almost acted as a catalyst for the North Carolina lawmakers who wanted to push this forward.
That's right.
Okay. Medicaid at the center of quite a few debates at the North Carolina legislature. So how does this play into the bigger picture here?
Right. This bill comes as North Carolina legislators are trying to provide more funding for Medicaid. Just this summer, the state health department said that they didn't have enough funding to move forward in the current fiscal year. They're almost $200 million short. Right now, the Senate and the House have different proposals for addressing that. One of them, the Senate proposal, includes an array of other things, not just Medicaid funding, but also funding for a children's hospital in Apex that would break ground in 2027, and something called NC Cares that sends money to rural parts of North Carolina. Now, the House says, hey, we don't have time for all that. The health department is going to start cutting reimbursement rates for Medicaid starting October 1st if we don't do something right now. They want a clean bill that includes nothing but Medicaid funding. And right now, there's no deal in place. The two sides, as of today, are sticking to their guns, or sticking to their individual proposals.
Okay, so the fund, it's not like there's going to be this whole new money that's going to be freed up here. They want to reallocate the funds.
Right, so the funding itself is not going away. It would still be there. Planned Parenthood would just be stopped from accessing it. Republicans pointed out today, the supporters of the bill, that you can get these same services from other organizations. Many of them mentioned county and local health departments. Mm-hmm. Well, Democrats pushed back on that and said, hey, a lot of people are used to going to Planned Parenthood, and in many communities, they have more trust than the local and county governments do. One state senator from Cumberland County said in Fayetteville, the Planned Parenthood is across the street from the mall, so kids can be dropped off there, and if they want to go get tested discreetly for STIs, cancer, whatever, they can do that. But now they'd have to go to somewhere else.
Okay, really appreciate the discussion. I know you've got a lot more online, so if you have more questions about this, you want to kind of go back and look at this again, head over to WRAL.com. Paul, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks to both of you as we turn now to meteorologist Kat Campbell, keeping our eye on the tropics here.
Things aren't over yet. We've had a lot of hurricanes in North Carolina, even in the month of October. So we want to remind you, don't let your guard down just yet. 2 areas of concern that we are watching. One right here with a medium chance of developing. The one with the high chance of developing actually looks more likely if it develops to stay out to sea. I'm really watching this one here, highlighted in orange. We'll call it the orange system for now. It's the area that could take a more westward track here. I do want to point out, regardless of development, this should bring some rain to Puerto Rico, the Bahamas. Even if it never amounts to anything, it has a lot of tropical moisture associated with it. Another thing to note, when you have 2 systems that are right next to each other like this, and they haven't developed yet, they're trying to develop, a lot of times one kind of takes over the environment and becomes the more dominant system. That could be the case with this setup, and we're going to have to watch to see exactly how it plays out. Still, the European model ensembles are giving the system with a high chance of developing about a 70% chance and about a 30 to 40% chance for this area right here. The issue is, if this one does get a little bit more strength and become stronger, it would be likely to make a closer pass to the North Carolina coast and Outer Banks. Even the models that show that, though, still have a pretty weak system, so I wouldn't panic about this by any means. Regardless, we need some rain, and tropical moisture is in place. You can see this big blob between the 2 systems out there. There's a lot of moisture for us to tap into. When we see a dip in the jet stream, we could help to feed in some of that moisture, regardless of whether or not we were to see anything tropical necessarily near our coast or not. Category 4 hurricane now with Hurricane Gabrielle. That means we are 2 for 2 for major hurricanes this season. We've had 2 hurricanes develop, both have become major, and that's a sign that the ocean water is quite warm out there. So far, 7 named storms, and this is just a reminder, October is still hurricane season. People forget about it as we put our pumpkins out, I know. But Hazel happened in October, Sandy, Wilma, Matthew. Those are a lot of big names we know around here. In Durham, a live look outside, a quiet night. Temperatures are dipping into the mid-70s this evening. And tomorrow, if you're headed out for a dog walk in the morning, 64 degrees at 8 a.m. It'll be warmer than this morning, 81 at noon. 88 at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So it's going to be getting hot. Your dogs are going to be panting like these Pomeranians right there. Try to get the walk in early or later in the evening. Rain chances, though, finally going up at the end of the week. Thursday night into Friday, that starts our better chances for rain, and that is likely to continue into the weekend. We went ahead and bumped up weekend rain chances. We may need to keep bumping them up from here. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the 2 driest days of the week. Also some of the hottest, upper 80s to lower 90s, 3 days in a row. Once we get to the weekend, our high temperatures will back off, but we're still not going to be in that crisp fall feel yet. Lows are in the upper 60s this weekend with a lot of that tropical moisture nearby. Still no signs of real fall coming, even though it is technically fall now, but we are watching. I can't wait.
Yep, it'll be here eventually. Thank you, Kat. Hey, just a reminder out there, if you see breaking news happen or if there's weather in your area or maybe you have a tip for us, report it. Go to WRAL.com/report it to send your video, pictures, or tip to our news team. Tonight, we remember the life of Sean Clark, the former head football coach at App State. It's our one last thing after the break. One last thing tonight, we are honoring the life of Sean Clark. He was once the App State head football coach. Most recently, he was coaching the offensive line at UCF.
Clark died yesterday at 50 years old. The university did not say how he died, only that he had been in the hospital over the past 2 weeks after suffering a medical emergency. UCF posted this picture of Clark and his son Braxton running out of the tunnel, writing, "A remarkable man, husband, and father."
We really cannot underscore enough, though, what Clark meant to the App State community. He played there at App State from 1994 to 1998. He was an offensive lineman. He made the All-American team twice. Clark's coaching career with the Mountaineers started in 2016, but in 2019, he was named head coach. Over 5 years, he went 40-24, winning 2 Sun Belt championships and 3 bowl games.
Clark was beloved across the state. Here he is in 2023 doing that familiar thing, sounding the siren between periods at a Carolina Hurricanes game. Clark had the respect of his colleagues from the North Carolina football world and beyond. Here's NC State head coach Dave Doran talking about Clark earlier today.
Sean was a great coach. He's a better man and a good friend, a man that loved his family, his players, and he loved the game and the brotherhood.
Clark had a lot of great wins during his career with App State. The 2022 season was full of highlights. Even ESPN's College Game Day came to Boone for the first time ever. That was due in part to the huge upset win against Texas A&M. At the time, they were ranked number 6 in the country. Now, to give you an even better sense of the kind of person that Sean Clark was, we want to leave you tonight with what he said in the post-game press conference after that big upset win over Texas A&M.
He talks about the love for his job, the team, his players, and the love for his family. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Have a great night.
I'm Sean Clark, and I'm going to do everything I can to put this program to leave it better than I found it. And, it does mean something to me. I wish my wife and my son Braxton was here, my daughter Gianna to celebrate with me, but it does mean something to me just because that we did it. Not I, we did it.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.